It's been 120 years since the last wild buffalo was killed in the U.S. today. More than half of all American bison are owned by just 2 people.
Oh.
And most bison in North America can trace their bloodlines back to just 16 founders. This is the story of an almost lost species, and how one man is working to bring it back. In the early 1800s, there were somewhere between 30 and 60 million buffalo on the Great Plains, an ecosystem they helped to create and sustain. They were so numerous that an 1854 report called them, quote, a nuisance to the traveler who could not pass through them without losing several hours in the attempt. In fact, scientists have estimated that pre-European settlement, the entire Great Plains supported a population of 35 million bison. It's about half the size of the human population of the United States today. And yet somehow we managed to wipe them out. Now, before anyone gets too excited, this isn't cloning. It's just good old-fashioned selective breeding. And if you breed animals with similar genes together, the result will be a new animal with genetic traits that have been seen in thousands of years. These genetic matches have allowed the zoo to reintroduce rare traits, such as lighter-colored fur and wider faces, into the bison. And it takes advantage of the fact that genes are, for the most part, still pretty much what they were thousands of years ago. But over the next century, habitat destruction and hunting nearly brought them to extinction. When the U.S. government created the first bison reserve in 1908, it set aside 250 acres for the Zuni people. It's also a way of giving back to the indigenous people, who have been stewards of the land and its wildlife for generations. Bison are an important part of Native American culture and history. And by recreating the dark brown bison of the northern Great Plains, we're re-giving back to the indigenous people who have been stewards of the land and its wildlife for generations, and their future descendants to hunt and harvest as they always had. Their numbers may never reach the heights of the pre-European days, but with careful management, we can ensure that they remain a common and beloved sight for generations to come. Who knows, maybe one day we'll even bring back the dinosaurs. Okay, maybe not that last one. To do this, they're working with First Nations tribes whose ancestors used bison for food, clothing, and shelter. For thousands of years, bison played a vital role in the lives of these indigenous people, and it's a relationship that continues to this day. By 1920, there were fewer than 1,000 buffalo left in the wild. This is a problem because when a species has so little genetic diversity, it becomes vulnerable to disease and other threats. It's also kind of boring. If everyone in a small town looked and acted the same, life would get pretty dull pretty fast. You don't want that to happen to buffalo. They also have a genetic lineage that goes back thousands of years, which makes them ideal partners in the effort to resurrect ancient bison. But even as their numbers dwindled, the buffalo's importance to the ecosystem remained. But then something remarkable happened. Conservation biologists began to take notice. In 1907, President Theodore Roosevelt set aside 2,500 acres in the South Dakota Badlands for the purpose of preserving buffalo. In the following decades, more parks and private reserves followed. Today, more than half of all American bison are owned by just 2 people. Most bison in zoos and on ranches are descended from just 16 founders, 4 males and 12 females. So in 2010, conservationists at the San Diego Zoo began a project to create genetically diverse bison by giving them a little bit of buffalo magic. It sounds like science fiction, but it's actually just basic genetics. The goal was to create bison with genes from long-extinct lineages that still lived on in museum specimens. To accomplish this, they found living buffalo with genes similar to those in the old museum specimens and then selectively bred them. This means that if you find a modern animal with genes similar to an extinct animal, it probably has some of that extinct animal's DNA in its genome. In the case of the bison, it's given rise to animals with genes that are almost identical to those of long-dead ancient bison. And now, they're trying to recreate the iconic dark brown bison of the northern Great Plains. The Zuni tribe in particular has a long history with bison and was intimately involved in the early days of bison conservation. The Zuni have hunted bison for thousands of years and have a deep knowledge of their habits and behavior. It's hoped that by working with the Zuni, the bison will regain some of their former genetic diversity and become more resilient to disease. The goal is to create bison that are not only genetically diverse, but also culturally significant. If all goes according to plan, we may soon see these magnificent creatures roaming the plains once again. When you think about all the amazing things that humans have done to protect and preserve endangered species, it gives you hope for the future.